Hello, hello, it's Memento, and today I'm here with the comprehensive review of Firefly Village. This is a game I received for free on Lurkit, however, all opinions stated in this review will be my own, and everything is going to be linked down below if you would like to check out the game for yourself. Now that that stuff's out of the way, onto the review. I played a full year of Firefly Village, and here's the breakdown of everything that I experienced, what I liked, and what I thought still needed a little bit more improvement. So to start, I want to break down a little of what Firefly Village is all about. This game strives to be the most chill farming game out there, with days lasting 4 minutes, and each season only lasting for 7 days. And during each season, there's a festival, so it's a lot to cram into not very much time. And when I first saw this, I'm gonna be honest, I had a couple doubts, but I decided to give it a go because I really enjoy going over these farming sim games and diving deep into them and seeing what they have to offer. And overall, I'm actually really glad I did. In this video, I really want to break down and give you a comprehensive review to take you through each element of the game. And while I think that there are still areas that could be improved upon, I also think this is a really interesting take on farming sim games as a whole, and I haven't seen one that does it like this. So the first thing I wanted to do is check for accessibility. I did notice the Firefly Village is a little on the bare side when it comes to things that you can do. I would love to see separate toggles for music and sound effects. This is because I personally like to turn the sound effects completely off and just listen to the music itself. It also really helps when editing videos like this one, where I take raw footage and then I don't have to worry about like the cuts acting weird. So it's kind of like a twofold thing, but it is nice when you can turn down the sound effects because I got a little tired of hearing myself crunch on the grass, I'm not gonna lie. But another thing was the resolutions for windowed mode were really funky. I don't know why. They didn't go the way I thought they would. But honestly, those are the two big things that I saw, and my one suggestion, the resolutions were fine. It wasn't really a big deal, only to me who's playing in windowed mode and is messing around with like putting it into OBS. Always have other toggles. It's just nice. It helps a lot. But speaking of the music, I really love the music for this game. Each season has a different soundtrack to go with it, and then there's a track for the rain, social events, and this one little area that you can go when you have like the social events with the characters. Honestly, there was a lot of variation with the seasons, and even with them only lasting for 1 week, what I like is that you don't get sick of the music. It fits the vibe really well, and overall it ended up adding to my immersion, especially that rainy day music, which I wanted to listen to all the time. And you've heard some of that music while I've been talking to you, and now I'm gonna insert a little bit of the other soundtracks as well so you guys can hear it. The summer music is bouncy and upbeat and perfect for those summer and beachy vibes. There's just this whimsicality when it comes to the fall music that really does make me think of fall days on the farm bobbing for apples, and I just think it fits the vibe of the game perfectly. And you cannot tell me that this is not the exact vibe of winter. The whimsical little piano tune that's going on. It just is so fascinating to listen to. And I sat here a little bit entranced as I recorded this just now. Moving on to the game itself, though, I want to talk about the characters first and foremost. In my year of playing, I got all of the characters to somewhere between 1.5 to 2 hearts, and I triggered the friendship event with all of them, though Odin waited until the final day of year 1 to pay attention to me, despite the fact that I got him to 2 hearts before anyone else. It's fine. I honestly really like the characters. There are 2 shopkeepers that you can't form a relationship with, and then 5 townspeople that you can. Each one of them is distinct, and I notice there's a lot of variation when it comes to the dialogue that they say. Even if it isn't super interactive dialogue, it's nice that they don't just repeat the same 2 things to you each day. And it actually made me want to go find everyone each and every day, which, given that there's only 7 people in town, is easy to do. And speaking of there only being 7 people in the town, I did think that felt a little light. And I understand that this is meant to be a very chill farming sim. However, I think even having just a few more, maybe getting it up to like 10 people, I think that would be perfect. I'm going to get into the gameplay loop itself later in this review, but each day I would talk to everyone and pretty reliably be done with my day around 5 to 7 p.m. and then just head to bed. I only ran down the clock a couple times and I never even passed out. In my opinion, it would just be nice if there are a few more characters that could be added, especially since the max hearts that you can get is only 3, and in the first year I got everyone halfway there with relative ease, because a lot of the characters I wasn't even gifting to all of the characters all of the time, and still was able to hit 1.5 hearts. The other thing I want to talk about with characters is the friendship scene. I haven't seen anything past the friendship scene, though I'm looking forward to it. I thought it was really sweet, and I genuinely enjoyed each of these scenes a lot, but they seem to open up randomly. Despite Odin being the first character I got 2 hearts with, he was the first character I got 1 heart with, and the first character I got 2 hearts with, he was the last one I opened up this friend dialogue for. And I'm unsure if he had a higher threshold or if maybe I just had bad luck, but I did love the little scenes that played when I would go to that small area to the west of town. It gave some nice development for each character, and it allowed me to get to know them a little bit more. Overall, I just want some more characters and for it to be a little more clear on getting the heart events, because they seem to trigger kind of randomly. But the characters already in Firefly Village are charming and sweet, and I really enjoyed talking to them each day. And yeah, I ended up really taking to Odin, but I also liked them all. They were all really fun. The next thing I want to move on to is the core gameplay loop. So in this section, I'm going to start by covering what I did each day, then I'm going to move on to each of the specific mechanics. So hold on to your horses, because this one is a little bit lengthy, and I will be showing, I'll be showing what I did for each thing too. So here's my daily schedule. Water/harvest crops, collect the resources on my farm, collect resources and talk with people in the south, check the store for seeds and talk to people in town, and if I feel really spicy, go back to the southern area because I might be able to fish and collect bugs more. And in the winter, I added mining to this as well. And if that sounds a little bit basic, that's because it is. With only 4 minutes per day, of course you can't do too much, but I could do pretty much everything in less than 4 minutes. I didn't have to make any decisions on who to talk to because everything was doable, and I only got close to passing out a handful of times. And while I don't necessarily think this is a bad thing, I do think it could start to feel a little overly repetitive. I think it would be nice to have just a little bit more variation, which ties into what I said about expanding a little bit more. That way, maybe I don't talk to every single person every single day. I would be able to pick and choose a little more so that I'm focusing on what I want that day instead of speed running everything. So my idea for this would be maybe have an area to the east of the town, or to the east of the farm, and have 2 to 3 more people over there. So, you know, you have the western area, which has that southern, and then the town itself, and then maybe if you had an eastern area and another southern area. So it's kind of like a pick your poison. Which way do you feel like going? Oh, I need some new seeds today, so I'm gonna go into town. Oh, I don't really need that many seeds today, so maybe I'm gonna go off to the other side and do whatever is over there. I'm not sure what would be put over there, but I mean, the sky's the limit. The sky's the limit. But that's my personal idea for it. So now I'm going to move on to the specific mechanics of the game. First of all is the farming. The farming was probably my least favorite aspect of this game. I don't mind that there's no energy. It's nice to not need to refill my watering can, but the mechanics of watering were clunky. It's very picky about what position you're in, and if you're not on the right space, it can be hard to change directions without changing what space you're on, and I got the hang of it, obviously, and maybe it's just a little bit of the min-maxer in me, but I found myself a little bit frustrated. I was like, I just want to water these quickly, because to me that part was the most, I don't want to sound mean, it was the most quote-unquote boring part, was watering the flowers. And there is an upgrade for the watering can. I'm going to talk about this a little bit later. I do not have it yet, and I will go into why later on when I talk a little bit more about like how the game progresses you. But yeah, farming was my least favorite aspect. It would be nice, I think, if you could either get something to auto water, or perhaps I'll change my opinion once you upgrade the watering can, but I personally didn't really like doing any of the farming, and I kind of just did because it was a good way to earn money. That was really my only reason to do it. So another thing that kind of goes hand in hand is the inventory. So your wood and your stone are kept separate, which I thought was really nice because those are your basic resources that you need for upgrades to your house. So that was nice. But nothing stacks. So when you harvest crops and there are 6 plots that each hold 9 crops in them, you're going to be running back and forth to the shipping bin over and over and over. And the shipping bin is the only way to sell. So if you need cash now, you gotta wait until the next day, and whatever you wanted that was in the store, hope it comes back soon because you're not getting it. I don't mind that I can't necessarily sell things, and this is because there is no store menu. Actually, since the storekeeper is one of the romanceables, I believe that's why he doesn't have a menu interface. I think it was to simplify things down, so I don't necessarily mind that, but it would be nice if maybe like the shipping stuff was collected at like 6 p.m. instead of collected the following day, but that's really a non-issue. Just make things stack. Just make things stack. It's easier. It's genuinely so much easier. Just make things stack. And honestly, yeah, just make things stack. But anyway, going on to waiting till the next day. My one gripe with this is actually not so much a gripe. It's an interesting thing. You don't start with any tools except a watering can. That's right. You have to work for that axe, that pickaxe, and your fishing rod. And I thought that was actually kind of cool. Hear me out. At first, this really drove me crazy, but then a switch flipped and suddenly I understood. This is actually a genius way to lock the game and have some sort of very subtle progression. If I started with all of the tools, I would have been able to move through this game way too quickly. Instead, you start with farming and foraging. Then you move on to fishing, since the fishing rod is cheap and you're probably going to be able to get it very quickly. It pads your wallet and allows you to upgrade to get the axe. Once you have the axe, you build up your wood stockpile, and then that's working towards your first upgrade for your house. You're able to sort of get used to all of that, do all of that, and then there's finally the pickaxe is the most expensive, and I believe that's because you're meant to unlock it in winter to do the mines, since you can't farm in the winter time. And I think this was genius. It flowed excellently, and I feel as though I played directly into what the game wanted me to do and ultimately ended up loving it. Even though I was a little frustrated at first that I didn't have these tools, when it came wintertime and I was like, wow, this is the first time I get to explore the mines, it was great. So we're going to talk about those tools now. The fishing rod is simple. There's no mini game. You cast your rod you have to cast it where the fish are swimming, and when you see the little exclamation point, you reel it in. It's simple. I don't hate it. Since the game is meant to be low stress and like kind of a low energy log in when you want to game, I wouldn't expect anything outlandish for the fishing. So I think this is an A+ way to put fishing in this game. And the axe, you hit the tree stumps, only tree stumps, 3 times, you get some wood, you move on. Once again, there's no energy, so it doesn't feel punishing to do, and they respawn each day, so it's pretty easy to relatively quickly build up quite the stockpile. And lastly, there are the mines. There are a few different ores to find, as well as stone. Once again, the fact that nothing's stacked is going to be the death of me. That is if the slimes don't get me first. The little animation that plays when one hits you, though, is so cute. And since there's no combat in this game, it just sends you back to the entrance. You have no penalty. And once again, it's a low-risk game, so I really don't mind this. If this was a more high-risk min-maxing game, I might have something to say, but I think it fit perfectly. I don't think the mechanics are perfect, but I do find that they fit really well thematically and are going in the right direction. The only things I really would change is either make the items stack or, fine, give us a bigger inventory, and making farming feel a little bit less clunky. I haven't updated my watering can, so that might make a difference. And like I said, this is progression based and I haven't progressed to that point. That's meant to be a year 2 thing, I think. But I suspect anyone who plays Firefly Village will have much the same progression as I did, and you will spend your first year watering everything one by one by one. So now that we've talked about all the mechanics, I want to go back to the story. Firefly Village has a cute little plot. We're gifted the farm as long as we promise that we're going to do some actual farming on it. It's silly, but I don't hate it. Again, I keep saying it, but because the game is simplified, I'm not going to look for something truly elaborate. I'm going to look for something simple, clean, and efficient. So instead of the core story, I want to focus on the 4 events that happen throughout the year. As with every farming sim, we start with an egg festival in the spring. You have to collect at least 20 eggs that are hidden all over the map, and you get a special item for it. I kind of sequence broke this event by collecting the eggs before I ever talked to Tobias. Whoops. And I think it could help if either he comes to your house that morning to tell you about it, or if the eggs didn't appear until after you talked to him. But other than that, I had a lot of fun finding all the eggs I could and talking to everyone about the event. Plus, with all of the events, I really love the decorations. There's a lot of attention to detail with how the world changes for each festival. The second festival is the Summer Lantern Festival. This one takes place at night, so I got to go about my day as normal, and then once it hit nighttime, I got to hunt down Tobias, and you see this cute little scene of all of us releasing lanterns, and it was very soothing. It made me feel very at ease, and I liked that it had lore to it as well, and kind of expanded a little bit more about what Firefly Village is. In autumn, of course, we get to carve pumpkins, but only if you bring your own. I had to actively remember not to sell off one of my pumpkins, and I'm honestly so glad that I was able to remember because it was so cute, and the town just looked like this perfect little blend of spooky and cutesy, and it's just, the events are a great time to get to know the characters and how they react to something that isn't in the normal everyday. And the final event is in winter, and this is when we pick our special someone to watch the stars with. Of course, I immediately wanted Odin because he's the love of my life. And when I talked to everyone in the morning, they were all so excited and said that whoever I asked to see the stars with is so lucky. But then tragedy struck. I asked every single person, and I wasn't close enough to a single one of them. My heart was broken, and I went to bed alone. I'm guessing that this is a more endgame festival, and I probably needed to see the next up heart event to get there. So I guess year 2, I'm gonna have to fight through that because I will make Odin love me. Or one of my backup lovers. Honestly, all the characters were very cute, and I would be happy with any one of them. So to go over a couple miscellaneous things, you find a cute dog to adopt who says a lot of really sideways things to you, and it's honestly quite adorable. I wish you could choose between a dog and a cat, as I'm forever a cat person, but that's just me. That's no bearing on actually changing it. There's some basic animal raising. You can get chickens and cows, and they give you milk and eggs each day when you pet them. And there's also a kitchen included in the first house upgrade. While I did obtain the kitchen, I didn't end up trying it out, but it seems cooking is relatively simple, where you just select what you want, and then voila, you've cooked. Overall, Firefly Village really surprised me. I thought it would be cute, I thought it would be fun to check out and review, but instead I found a truly sweet and simple game that's easy to boot up for a little bit. You can squeeze it into those busy days when you need something to relax with, or you can spend a longer period of time like I did, finishing a whole year in a little over 2 hours, and that's with me pausing to just listen to some of the music. It's a refreshing take on the farming sim genre, and one I found myself enjoying more than I even thought I would. So far, the planned release date is August 11th, and right now we have no speculations on price, and I will have this video up so that you guys will see it first things first. But honestly, yeah, I'm going to be returning to Firefly Village again, and I hope that you guys will consider joining me. And that's going to do it for my comprehensive review of Firefly Village. I had a lot to say. I had a lot to show. There's going to be so much added in here. When I do these farming sim reviews, I really do try to make them truly comprehensive and ensure that you can really narrow in on all the different functions of the game so that you know if it's the right game for you. Again, this is a game that's mainly for someone who wants a very calm and chill experience while still having those cute and quirky farming sim aspects that we all have come to love so much. And I really think Firefly Village did something different, and I think it's really cool to see something different. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, leave a nice little comment, and maybe even subscribe so that you know every time I upload a new video. And with that being said, I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your night. Ready, steady, bye!